Cricket is my passion and I cannot avoid it. Hello to all the beautiful people of the world. UAE started their campaign in the World Cup. They looked that they were in the game, but probably few runs short. Unfortunately, they could not cross the line. But to discuss about it, we have former UAE women's captain Charvi on the show. Welcome to the show, Charvi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much once again for having me. It's an absolute honor to be here.
The pleasure is ours, Chavi, as I've always believed, that cricketers who have played cricket on the highest level can give more insight to the show. Anyway, we saw 112 batting first, touch low.
Yes, for sure. Definitely, I think about a good 20, 30 runs short. 111 is not a T20 pass score. It's less than run a ball. Technically, if we look at it. And, from a superficial perspective, if we have a look, at the total of the UAE's batting side today, they had a Nelson on board. And, like we always say, Nelson par kuch na kuch hota hai. The wicket jata hai, ya to six hota hai, ya to, four jata hai. So they had a Nelson on board. Also, I feel that the top order, apart from Mohammad Wasim, who got a 41 or 47, no bigger scores. Everybody coming in, chipping in 30, 35 runs would have helped.
You're right, spot on. When you win the toss, bat first, and then score 111, that's disappointing. And you mentioned also rightly that apart from Mohammad Wasim, there was hardly anybody who put his hand up. So the batting must be a big problem for Robin Singh. But I thought, like with the likes of Chirag, Suri, Vritya, and the other guys, probably they could have scored a little more. But in the end, when you score 111, it's going to be always less. But you have to give credit to the bowling that they still fought back and made a match of it.
Absolutely right. Giving all the credits to the bowlers and the way they bowled, they had the game under control. Also, apart from that one catch that was dropped at a very crucial moment in that, very, very important over by the skipper, by Rizwan CP. Apart from that, I think the bowlers came out there and they expressed themselves to the best of their ability. The fielding also, to a great extent, was on point. No complaints, from the fielding perspective either. Junaid Siddique, I think he's the top of the charts today. 4 overs, 24 runs, 3 wickets for him, and 3 very important wickets that came in. All the other, the top 5, top 6 bowlers, they all picked up one wicket each, which is from a bowling standpoint, that's a win for UAE.
You're right. Well, the bowling did give it is everything except for the dropped catch, but catches win matches. Unfortunately, it was not to be. I remember speaking to Robin on the way to the Australia, and he did mention to me that UAE unfortunately do not get to play more games, and we've discussed about it. But the fact is that when you go to Australia, you need to have a lot of match practice. If you see, UAE just played the Asia Cup where they were knocked out before they could qualify, and then they played 2 games with Bangladesh and 1 warm-up game where the others were washed out. So that's too less. And when you're talking about World Cup, I believe that's a bit less for a country which has got such a great infrastructure.
Yes, very much less. More match practice. I mean, the more game scenario you understand, the better you're able to think as well. And yes, cricket is a game which has a lot of skill, but has got a lot to do with your mind. You've got to play with your mind as well. It's more towards the mind, less physical. We know how the game does play on. So that is how I see it. Also, Australian grounds and conditions, and I think you would agree, sir, a lot different than the conditions that we have here. Well, I think the UAE players, they are blessed with the infrastructure, like you mentioned, also because you've got 2 pitches with the Australian soil. You've got them with that soil. So how about constantly giving them that widespread practice, constantly giving them more matches before the World Cup, so that, we've seen over the last couple of games, they've not lost with big margins. They're very close games that they have not been able to make through to the other end. And I think the more number of games these boys are able to get, the more they'll be able to convert that into a win, because they're losing with very, very smaller margins now.
And that's the beauty about this T20 format. It's so unpredictable that one team can beat the other, as we saw in the first game. Scotland just outplayed Sri Lanka. So now For UAE to survive in the tournament, it's very simple. They got to win the next two games, which is against Sri Lanka and one is against a confident Namibia. But they first take on Sri Lanka, who must be actually feeling, gutted after this loss and will come hard too on UAE.
Yeah, they will. They will. And we know, so Sri Lanka, has got a cricketing history that goes back to some of the greats of the game. And coming from that, Sri Lanka would want to make to the mark. They want to get into the next round. They don't want to be the ones left behind. And so would all the other teams at this stage that are playing this first round of matches want to qualify and go to the next round. They will come hard. UAE will have to come along, go back, think about what are some of the things that we didn't do right. And they're not major things, they are small things. The opening pair, the opening batsman sticking out there for a little bit more time, getting those 20 odd runs. Now, let's take the example of Chirag Suri. He scored 12 of 20. Another 10 runs from his end, from his bat, another 10, 15 runs on his bat, another 10, 15 runs from Britya's bat would have made a difference today. The difference would have, we would have had a different result.
You're spot on, Charvi. You see, the guys who got stuck in had to ensure that they scored big. And this was a wicket which is not 170, 180 wicket. So that is what sometimes the batsmen fail to analyze. They feel that, no, they have eaten a lot of balls. They need to go hard. And I hope they come back next time and they realize that this is a wicket. If you get 140, 150, you can make a match of it.
Of course. I think 150 and T20 game has evolved over a period of time. Back in the day, 130, 140, even 150 was a challenge. But these days, we're looking at games that end up, at a total of 200, 220. And that's chased down as well. There are a lot of teams, that are chasing down 220. So they've got to look at, based on what the batting lineup of Sri Lanka is going to be like, what on that particular day they anticipate for for batsmen to do. Based on that, they need to, set their own target if they are defending, or they need to chase at that pace, depending if they're chasing. It all depends on that particular day then.
In fact, to put it in one line, Charvi, I would feel Sri Lanka will be under more pressure because UAE has nothing to lose. So if UAE can win the toss and bat first and put that handy 140 and hold on to the catches, I believe it's a win-win situation for us.
Yes, I think a 140 total, considering how they have the bowlers bowled today, 140 will be good to defend on this wicket.
We hope this will happen, Charvi, and keep our fingers crossed. Who knows what's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and watch. Day after tomorrow, UAE takes on Sri Lanka in the second game. In the meantime, we want all of you guys to follow our page, follow Charvi. She's, one of the players who played for UAE, has been captain for UAE, and has got a great cricketing anecdote. Thank you once again for sparing your time. Catch you soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Catch you soon, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.